Hello, everyone. Welcome back to hopefully another amazing week. I have a report for you. I am checking in with what I am doing in terms of new habits, or I guess I would say improving my habits for my body. So I know last week we talked about the body and habits that you can incorporate into your daily routine or update your routine to make your habits that are focused around your body just a little bit more of an important thing. And that's something that I decided to commit to this past week. I, for the last little bit, have realized I am not moving and using my body enough, especially day to day. I would say that when I plan to go to the gym or I'm doing a workout class, that's great. But on a day to day activity level, I'm not moving nearly as much as I used to. And I think the biggest thing was because I decided that I would start doing my movements and my workouts in the evening, whether that was after work, before dinner, or after dinner. And unfortunately, what ended up happening is I didn't do any of those things. I didn't go for a walk. I would often skip going to the gym just because the amount of other things I had to do. And I realized, wow, I'm really not moving enough and I'm not making my body a priority. And that's not something that I want to be doing because I know I feel so much stronger and I have better sleep. I have more energy when I move my body. So this past week, I flipped it around and I decided that I was going to make moving my body a priority. So every morning I woke up at 6:30 and I only allowed myself to snooze one singular time each day. And I would go for a walk right away. I'd get up, get changed, put on my sunscreen because the sun is out early and it is hot, and go straight for my walk. And if I didn't go for a walk, then I would go to the gym. So I did go to the gym one morning and I think I was there by 7:15 a.m., which to be honest is a huge accomplishment for me. So I'm very proud of myself for realizing that I wanted to make a change, planning what my change was and committing to it for at least the 5 days that I've done so far. And I'm hoping that's 5 of many days moving forward. And even the days that I woke up and I really didn't want to go for a walk and I wasn't feeling like, ugh, that's what I really want to be doing at the start of my day, I made myself do it. And I always felt so much better afterwards. So even this morning when I was tired and I thought, you know what, I'm not even sure if I want to get up and go for a walk, I realized you're going to feel so much better afterwards. And I also feel so accomplished because I've already checked something off or accomplished something at the start of my day that also was for me and not for work. And I think that's something that's very new to me, that making personal accomplishments a priority hasn't been in my vocabulary or my to-do list for quite some time. So I'm just checking in and I'm holding myself accountable by sharing with you what I was able to do this past week. And this week coming up, I want to change the script a little bit. And yes, I'm still going to be focusing on what I'm doing for my body and my habits in terms of my morning walks and movement. But I also want to dive a little bit deeper into what we can be doing for our soul, because let's be honest, the chaos and the hustle and bustle of life is very real. And it's so easy to feel overwhelmed and to kind of forget about taking care of our soul. We think about taking care of our mind and our body so much more than our soul, because I think, at least for me, at times I'm like, what does taking care of my soul actually mean? So that's what I'm here to talk about today. And again, offering some insight to some simple and very practical things that we can implement into our day-to-day life that will actually benefit not only our mindset and our stress and our anxiety, but most importantly, our soul, and nourish our soul the way that we probably need to be doing a lot more of, because if you're anything like me, it's definitely falling to the bottom of the list of things to care for. So one of the first things that we can be focusing in on is mindful meditation. I have not been the best at meditating in my previous years. It's something that I definitely visit from time to time, and I would say that it does work when I can commit to it. And I think guided meditation is one of the best things you can do, because it allows you to just really reconnect with yourself, to almost silence that chaos of the outer world, but also all of that stuff that's going on in your mind. And it's a pretty easy habit to implement because it can truly be 60 seconds up to 5 minutes to even begin. And it's about finding a quiet space where you can sit comfortably, you can close your eyes. I think this one is very important, is actually closing your eyes and removing one of your senses so you can really focus in more on yourself and focus on your breathing. Obviously, you can do some sort of breath work if that's something that works for you, and really start to allow your mind to rest and see where it wanders and kind of just go with the flow, but not let your mind go to like to-do lists or tasks. So for me, the best way that mindful meditation works is actually through a breath work, and doing guided breath work has really been the thing that has saved me. And I will link a breath work in the show notes. I think it's the same one that I linked a couple episodes ago, but it's really good. It's just 5 minutes, and it was super helpful for me to get into meditation and breath work. And now I've expanded my breath work, and I can do almost an hour of breath work, which is not something that I would ever think I would be able to do. But again, it's baby steps, and just the mindful meditation of doing 60 seconds to 2 minutes a day will definitely make a huge difference in just calming your mind and allowing you to feel more connected with yourself. One practice that I've been really big on for years is a gratitude practice. I think this is something that we definitely hear about. I know that there's the 5-minute journal, there's a lot of gratitude journals, things that kind of touch on this, but being grateful for where we're at and for the things we have really nourish our soul. And it almost gives sort of like a cleanse to our soul, when a lot of times, specifically in this day and age, we are inundated with seeing what other people have, what we should be striving for. We are subconsciously comparing ourselves, whether to each other or to what societal standards are or norms are. And it's easy to forget about gratitude and the power that gratitude has in your daily life. The big thing about gratitude is you want to make sure that you are writing it down or speaking it aloud. You don't want to just kind of let these thoughts pass over. You really want to hold on to them and be able to reflect on them and realize how important they are and give them weight in your day-to-day life. So you could be writing things down, whether that's in a journal, even just a note in your phone, like have a running note in the Notes app, something that allows you to just recognize grateful things. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm so happy that I have my apartment that I live in, or my mom and my dad. It can be something as small as like the barista at the coffee shop, asked me how my day was going. Something that feels a little bit more personal and can kind of change day to day. So you do have to slow down and think about what you're grateful for, and you don't just rhyme off the same top 3 or 5 things each day. And I think one thing is starting your day with gratitude actually carries that energy throughout. I used to do my gratitude at night, which any time of the day, honestly, is a win and when you're doing it. But I did notice a difference when I start my day with gratitude, because that's sort of the energy that I carry. And I almost start looking for different moments or interactions or aspects of each day that I become more and more grateful for, because it's sort of already queued up in my brain when I begin my day. This one I love. This is something that I am constantly trying to do a little bit more, but it's allowing yourself to have some sort of creative expression. And if you're not a creative person, this is not about being good at creativity or checking off a new hobby that you can say that you succeed at or you can share on the internet. This is really truly for you and creativity, what that looks and feels like to you. So for me, that has changed over my life. During the pandemic, creativity was so different than what it is now because, again, of time and having time to put into it. But creativity can be so many different things like writing, painting, dancing, playing an instrument if you have that capability, or trying to play an instrument if that's something that you've always wanted to do. And maybe you were always a little bit afraid of it because you don't know what other people would think. Do it at home. Do it in the safety and the privacy of your home and have fun with it. The whole point of having creative expression is to have fun and to allow your soul and your mind to be imaginative, to explore, and to just try new things without looking to achieve something by trying it. And I think for me, that was the biggest thing is it's not about succeeding at a new skill or being able to move up in my, piano lessons or things like that. It's really just about the process and enjoying it and not thinking about the outcome of what you've been able to create. So one easy place that I've started with and I still visit from time to time is a coloring book. I'm going to link my favorite adult coloring book in the show notes as well, because it's not as annoying to color. It's not like a butterfly or like a nature. It's actually like a lot of self-love and self-care quotes and illustrations. So it feels like I'm doing like double the soul work when I'm doing it. I'm being creative, but then I'm also reminding myself that it's okay to slow down, or all feelings are valid, different things like that. So I'll link that below. And even just doing that while you're watching TV in the evening and unwinding allows you to be a little bit more creative and to get off of a screen, which I think is so important. Yes, even if you have the TV on in the background, you're not on your phone while also watching TV. And that's another way to practice creativity, is removing devices, because to be honest, a lot of devices don't really help our creativity at the end of the day. This one is very important, and I know it's not practical for everyone and it may not be enjoyable, but it is something that scientifically has proven to be helpful, and it's spending time in nature. I grew up in nature. So for those of you who don't know, I grew up in a village of about 50 people outside of a town of about 8,000 people. And I had a farm for a good portion of my younger life. And I was in nature more than I was anywhere else. The sounds of wolves at night is a lot of the sounds from my childhood. And I spent a lot of time in nature, and I didn't appreciate it when I had it. Now that I live in a city like LA that has nature very accessible within the city, I'm so grateful to be able to go and do a hike or go to a park and sit with my bare feet in the grass. But I know when I was in Toronto, nature was something that I had to make more of a priority and find. But now that I really feel that connection to it again, I can truly feel the impact it has on my soul, and just reconnecting me not only with myself, but sort of the reality that the world is so big and we're so small, and all these worries that we deal with are truly small things, and we give them so much power when we should just be allowing ourselves to go with the flow, navigate those things, obviously be responsible for what's happening in our reactions and how we're engaging in relationships and work and things like that, but also just celebrating the world for what it has to offer, and specifically what nature has to offer. So when you're in nature, if you're able to do this, one of the best things to do to really feel connected, especially if this isn't something that would be natural to you, spending time in nature, is to really pay attention to your senses. So think about, 5 things you can hear, 4 things you can see, 3 things that you can, I guess smell would be a good one. Or actually 3 things that you can touch. So whether that's different plants or grass or dirt, 2 different things that you can smell, and hopefully they're good smells in nature. And then if there's anything that you can obviously taste. So don't start eating plants if you don't know about them, but maybe have some fruit or something like a snack with you while you're in nature, so that you can really lighten up all those 5 senses and really feel connected to nature when you're in it. And one of my favorite things to do is actually to put my bare feet on grass or in the sand on the beach, or even if there's like a little bit of dirt, whatever it is, just to, as I say, touch earth, because it actually is scientifically proven to help with inflammation, heart problems, stress. It's really just overall good for you. And it kind of makes me feel like a child again, just like no shoes, no socks, and just being connected to the earth. One major thing that we all should be working on, and I know definitely doesn't come to us naturally, is self-reflection. I think it's very easy for us to avoid self-reflection because sometimes it can feel a bit sticky. It can be a bit uncomfortable in terms of maybe you don't want to address those things. You don't want to look at yourself really clearly and pull back the curtains and see what's going on inside. But it is so good for you to be able to feel that connection with yourself, have that ability to reflect on who you are, how you're behaving, who you're becoming, and really see where you want to grow and what you can not only celebrate in yourself, but also nurture, because I think we forget that we can nurture ourselves instead of looking to outside people for that nurturing or nourishment that maybe we know that we need, but we're not sure how to do it for ourselves. So obviously when you're doing self-reflection, you want to be doing this more often than not. So maybe not every day to start, but even once a week, having maybe like a check-in, a little date with yourself to see what are your thoughts and your feelings? How were your actions this week? What are your values and your dreams and your aspirations? So asking yourself like big picture things that maybe we don't think about as much because we are in the day-to-day just accomplishing what we have to and moving on to the next. So if you're a journaler, this is a great time to actually write it out. If you like voice notes, you could even actually talk to yourself in a voice note. I know a lot of people do this, and I think that's such a creative way because then you also listen to it back And it feels like you're speaking to your soul when you have a voice note about what you are looking for out of life, the feelings and the values, and even your aspirations that you have. It's sort of like speaking it into existence. So by having this self-reflection, not only are you able to identify areas of your life that you want to put a bit of more time into, maybe emotions that you've been neglecting and you aren't allowing yourself to digest or understand, but the most important thing is it's giving you insight to yourself. You are your number one. I'm going to say this forever, that you are your first person that you can count on, you can rely on, and that you should be loving. So having self-reflection is going to allow you to dive a bit deeper in that relationship with yourself to continue to nurture and nourish your soul and everything that comes with it as we navigate life in the craziness that it can be these days. The last thing that I would say is very important, and this is a newer thing. This is not something I would have done even a couple of years ago, but I would say the past 2 years it's become more of an importance to me, is mindful media consumption. So I think this really started for me during the pandemic when I would watch the news in the early days of March 2020, and it was all fear-based. Everything I was hearing, everything I was seeing was all about fear of the unknown, which I completely understand in 2020 that was our reality. But it got to a point by, I think, July or August that I literally couldn't watch anything. I couldn't listen to the radio. I couldn't hear anything about what was happening because I had to protect my energy. And I know that I would hear through conversation with many people the most important headlines and stats and numbers and things like that. But if I was allowing myself to constantly consume this type of media that at the time felt very negative to me and to my soul, I wasn't helping myself navigate what I was going through. So whether it's news or social media, it is really important to be able to look at what you are watching, what you're consuming, and then be able to say yes or no. So use that mute button on social media if you feel uncomfortable about unfollowing people. And if you don't feel uncomfortable unfollowing people, it's a great time to go through your social media channels and just cleanse your timeline and get rid of anything that makes you feel a little bit negative. So obviously all these habits are really beneficial to your soul about nourishing and nurturing yourself from the inside outwards. Again, these are all things that you can implement at different stages in your life and different amounts. So it's not going and adding all of these in. They can be little bite-sized digestible things to incorporate into your daily life and maybe even just like a weekly routine to start with. And I would love to know how you're feeling about our habits, what you're implementing, and if you're excited to try new things. I hope you have an amazing day and remember to love yourself first.